This is part 2 of the most disturbing Pokédex entries I was able to find. So if you haven't seen part 1, I highly suggest you click the box in the upper right-hand corner. If you have seen part 1, then let's get right down to it. Welcome to the Crafty Cryptid. Here, you can enjoy watching DIY crafts while listening to the darkest and most mysterious tales I can find. If you enjoy this kind of content, click subscribe and ding the notification bell. I post new videos every week. Today, we're going to look at 5 more terrifying Pokédex entries that actually exist in this children's game. First on our list is actually 3 Pokémon, but all part of the same evolutionary line. Hatenna and its evolutions Hattrem and Hatterene are Psychic-type Pokémon that were first introduced in the Sword and Shield game series. Since it does not have a long history in the Pokémon universe, I only have the Sword and Shield Pokédex entry to give you, but it's disturbing enough on its own that I am a little concerned at how future Pokémon games are going to deal with this evolutionary line. Hatenna starts out relatively tame, with a dex entry that reads, "If this Pokémon senses a strong emotion, it will run away as fast as it can. It prefers areas without people." Honestly, same. But it's when Hatenna evolves that the dex entries get disturbingly dark. Here's the dex entry for the first evolution, Hattrem, from Sword. No matter who you are, if you bring strong emotions near this Pokémon, it will silence you violently. Violently! Shield gives us more information on just how Hattrem is going to silence you. Using the braids on its head, it pummels foes to get them to quiet down. One blow from those braids would knock out a professional boxer. The creepiness doesn't end there, however. Pokémon Shield has this to say about Hatenna's final evolution, Hatterene. If you're too loud around it, you risk being torn apart by the claws on its tentacle. This Pokémon is also known as the Forest Witch. And the Gigantamax Dex entry says this: "This Pokémon can read the emotions of creatures over 30 miles away. The minute it senses hostility, it goes on the attack." Imagine being 30 miles away. Perhaps you're getting upset or being too loud with friends, and suddenly a gigantic Hatterene that towers over buildings comes to attack you and rip you apart with its tentacle. Absolutely terrifying. Gorobus holds our number 2 spot today. Pokémon Emerald claims that Gorobus siphons the bodily fluids of prey through its thin tubular mouth. Its light pink body color turns vivid when it finishes feeding. Ultramoon adds that, quote, "The leftover meat sinks to the sea floor, where it becomes food for other Pokémon," unquote. Gorobus feeds on blood and bodily fluids and then discards the carcass to the ocean floor. Gross. Number 3. Gourgeist. Gourgeist is a grass and ghost-type Pokémon that first appeared in the 6th generation games, with a creepy dex entry that only got worse over time. Pokémon Y claims that Gourgeist enwraps its prey in its hair-like arms. It sings joyfully as it observes the suffering of its prey. sings joyfully at the suffering of its prey. Gourgeist does not appear in Generation 7, but makes its return in the Sword and Shield games with different dex entries for different sized Pokemon. Small Gourgeists are said to, quote, pretend to be children to fool adults. Anyone who falls for the act gets carried away to the hereafter, unquote. Average-sized ones have two separate dex entries. Sword reveals that eerie cries emanate from its body in the dead of night. The sounds are said to be the wails of spirits who are suffering in the afterlife. While Shield tells us, in the darkness of a new moon night, Gourgeist will come knocking. Whoever answers the door will be swept off to the afterlife. Don't open your door after dark, I guess. Large Gourgeists also pretend to be adults in order to take children to the afterlife, and supersized Gourgeists, quote, aren't picky and will sweep anyone they come across to the afterlife, unquote. Imagine being dragged to hell by a ghostly pumpkin cat thing. Number 4. Phantump. Those of you who play the Pokemon games probably knew that the Ghost and Grass dual type would make it onto this list. But honestly, Phantump's Pokédex entries are more sad than they are scary. Still, they're highly disturbing, so they have made it onto this list. Pokemon Y gives us the first glimpse of how messed up Phantump's history is. According to old tales, these Pokemon are stumps possessed by the spirits of children who died while lost in the forest. While Sun adds, their cries sound like eerie screams. And according to Ultra Sun, by imitating the voice of a child, it causes people to get hopelessly lost deep in the forest. It's trying to make friends with them. That's upsetting enough, but let me read you Moon's dex entry. According to legend, medicine to cure any illness can be made by plucking the green leaves on its head, brewing them, and boiling down the liquid. Doesn't sound all that bad, does it? Well, at least not until you realize that what you're boiling for medicine is a child's soul. Last but not least on our list today is Yveltal. Yveltal is a legendary Pokemon from the X and Y game series, and as such, it really only has two unique dex entries, one from X and one from Y. But they both say essentially the same thing. Yveltal is known as the Destruction Pokemon, and is both avian and draconian in appearance. I haven't yet played the X and Y games, so I don't know for a fact, but it seems like Yveltal's lore and design borrows from the myth of the Phoenix, which is a fiery bird that, once it dies, an egg is reborn from its ashes, and its life cycle continues forevermore. Y's dex entry states something similar about Yveltal, only way more terrifying. When its life comes to an end, it absorbs the life energy of every living thing and turns into a cocoon once more. For Yveltal to be reincarnated in its own cocoon, it has to destroy every single living thing. The games do not specify whether or not Yveltal just has to consume every living thing on Earth, or if it literally destroys the entire universe or multiverse. This brings up a good question, though. How does the person that writes these dex entries know this about Yveltal, if the dex entry writer would be one of those living things that Yveltal destroys? Do ghost Pokemon count as living things? If not, perhaps this just gives us more fuel for the humans are Pokemon conspiracy theory. Did you miss seeing your favorite creepy Dex entry? Let me know what I should add in a future video in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. To be notified when I post next, click subscribe and ding the notification bell. I post every week on this channel. Leave a like and a comment for the YouTube algorithm. Stay safe out there, and come back soon, cryptids.